Alright, everyone. I just got done watching the WWE 24 video that came on the network. Well, after War. And I'm just going to talk about it. It's WWE 24. It's called Booker T Sentenced to Greatness. And this is a great sit-through. I really enjoyed it. Awesome stuff. But I guess we can start it off. It starts off telling us how Booker T became who he is today. The wrestler that he is. All that. So we meet his kids first. Well, we find out one of them is Kendrick James Huffman, and that's his 4-year-old son. And the other one's name is Kennedy Rose Huffman, because Booker T's last name is Booker T. Huffman. And that's his 4-year-old daughter, and the twins. And he said, and we find out a little bit of information about them, that his Kennedy, is a cheerleader, and really athletic, and, Kendrick is really smart. And Booker T says he wished he had that stuff, but he was just street smart. And then they show us a little bit about where he grew up. We found out he grew up in Houston, Texas, and he called it like the South Park, that place, part of the town of Texas. That's what he said. And we find out. We meet his relatives. We meet one of his sisters, Carolyn Jones. We meet Lash Huffman, his brother. Or you guys better know him as Stevie Ray, and his other sister, Bonita Huffman. We find out that he was born with in a family, and he was the younger brother, and they said something like he was going to get shipped to his grandparents' house because his mother would always give him what he wanted when he would cry and cry, but his brother didn't want him to. And we find out in this that Booker T's mom had to have back surgery, and his mom's name is Rosa Huffman, and something went wrong in the surgery. So she ended up dying at 49 years old. And it really took a toll on Booker T, because Booker T lost his mother, and he never even knew who his father was. So Booker T was hanging out with the wrong people, making bad decisions. And he ended up being part of a robbery. And he got arrested. And everybody couldn't believe it. They were shocked about it. And Booker T felt like that he needed to pay his time, and then after he got out, he feels like that he only had to serve like 5 years in prison, by the way, too. He said that when he gets out of prison, he's going to he's going to make things. He's going to find his purpose in life. To find what he wants to do. So, he gets out of prison. He was there for a while. Him and his brother would always talk about wrestling and all that stuff. And then, his brother, Stevie Ray had a job lined up for him. And he had his employer. His name was Bruce Garage. I don't know how to say his last name, but that's his former employer / friend, and he offered him a job because it wasn't going to be easy for Booker T, obviously, to get a job because of his record, and Booker T even felt like that he's not going to be able to make people trust him. He has to do it himself. He has to earn that trust, and he got jobs like sweeping floors and stuff like that. And he said, and Stevie Ray said that the reason he had to get him a job is because if he didn't, Booker T would be back doing the same stuff. So he had to change up his routine. So Booker T wouldn't be going back to prison. So then Stevie Ray said you gotta put a lot of effort in. It doesn't matter what money you make. And then they found out that a wrestler named Ivan Putski, I think that's his name, is opening up a wrestling school. And they wanted to go. Well, Stevie Ray did, but Booker T was just following. And Stevie Ray wanted Booker T to go, so he agreed. But they needed like $3,000 to get it, and Bruce gave him the money. He said that if my employees ever need help to benefit their lives, he's always willing to help. And he said he wanted to make this investment, even though he didn't know exactly how it was going to be like, but he wanted to take the chance. He always have to take chances, and he took this chance. And then it shows them talking, and Booker, he asked, do you get the best seat in the house by being in the ring? And Booker T says no, he gets the best seat in the house by being a commentator. And he says he likes being a commentator. He has to study really hard, though, and being a commentator is like prepping for a match. Then we find out that in 1990, the Booker T and Stevie Ray had their debut, and Stevie Ray ended up wrestling the name as I forget what it is, but Booker T wrestled as G.I. Book. It's in the documentary, you can check it out, but they wrestled like in some weird names. And they had their first match, and they would Booker. It was in Houston, Texas. And the company was called Global Wrestling Federation, and there was only like 500 people at this event, and the crowd was booing him out of the building. They were calling him things that they've never been called before. But once Booker T got down and he did the first time ever Spin-a-Rooney, the crowd loved it, and they were rooting for Booker T and Stevie Ray to win. And they had a different tag team name, I don't remember, in this match, because they didn't have the tag team name that they're going to have, that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But they had a different tag team name, but I don't remember what it was. We find out Booker T did a lot of breakdancing, so he did a lot of those moves. So he started doing that as a regular thing. And he originally wasn't called the Spin-a-Rooney until Mark Magnum, who was a WCW and WC commentator, and WCW stands for World Championship Wrestling. But yeah, he would do that, and the crowd, and they even talked about that was Booker T's move. Sometimes the crowd didn't even care to see him wrestle; they just wanted to see him do the Spin-a-Rooney. And if that's all they got, then that was fine. So I thought that was good. Then they got called up to WCW. They were originally going to wrestle under the tag. Booker T and Stevie Ray were originally going to wrestle under the tag team name, the Houston Heat, but it didn't sound as bad. It's as like villainous as the Harlem Heat would, because it sounds better too, by the way. And they were they were managed at first by Sensational Sherry, and she helped manage like a lot of the top stars. So it really worked out for them, and people probably hated it too. And Booker T said this, I'm not saying this, this is what Booker T said, that because it was a white girl dating black men. It was a white girl with two black men, and everybody hated it. And they talked about how they became one of the greatest tag teams of all time in WCW, one of the greatest tag teams in the 90s. They were like 9-time WCW tag team champions, and they really enjoyed it. And then we meet Sharmell Huffman, or that's Queen Sharmell if you remember her from WWE. She came to WCW as like a dancer, and she was with and she met that's where she met Booker T. And he didn't seem like he was like this aggressive guy that he was in the ring. He was actually a nice guy, and she really liked him. And they met like at a Ready to Rumble commercial shoot, so that's how you find out how they meet there. So then It talks about Booker T's rise to the top, how he became WCW champion, because black men didn't really do a lot in WCW, so when he was told he was going to win the title, it was a big deal for him, and he really was looking forward to it. So it shows him beating Jeff Jarrett for the WCW championship, and rising to the top, and he said that he never thought he would become a world champion in the company. And he talked about how he liked this WCW one. And then they talk about his final day in WCW because WCW closed its doors. And Booker T that night ended up winning both the walked out that night with the WCW World Heavyweight Championship and the WCW United States Championship. And he said that it was a great end off to his career, but he was worried. But then he moved on to a new career in the WWE. But at the time it was called the WWF, which stands for World Wrestling Federation. But now it's the WWE, which is World Wrestling Entertainment. And he went there, and they talk about how he started doing the 5-time bit, because someone started shaking his hand like this in his face. So that's how he started doing the 5-time WCW champion catchphrase. So then they talk about that supermarket brawl that he had with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and they thought it was a great thing. What Booker T liked about it was it made him realize that you can laugh at yourself. Well, he didn't realize it, but he liked laughing at himself. He thought it was awesome. So then they talk about the tag team skits with him and Dustin Runnels, but also known as Goldust. And they talked about these comedy skits. They showed the comedy skits that they have, and I thought it was awesome stuff. And then just before WrestleMania 19, Booker T, Jim Ross came up with this great idea that Booker T comes clean about his prison record and all of that. And he shows him cutting this promo on Raw, which I am going to watch later on today or something, talking about all this stuff. And he said that the reason they wanted him to cut this promo was it would make the kids relatable to him, and the kids could learn something from this experience, and that's what Sharmell talked about, and it was great stuff. And Booker T hopes that it did touch some kids' lives and not go down the path he did. So I thought that was great. I'm definitely going to check out that promo because it does seem like it's a good promo. And then we find out Booker T ended up opening his own wrestling school to teach the young kids how to wrestle. I thought that was awesome. And originally it was going to be him and Stevie Ray's thing, but they had a falling out, so it didn't really work out, and they stopped talking, and everybody was all shocked about it. So Booker T just said it, and they didn't really talk to each other for like 5 years. Well, actually, it was 5 years. And then they showed the match, highlights of the match that he had with Triple H at WrestleMania 19 for the World Heavyweight Championship. That he didn't win. He should have beaten Triple H and won that title in Mania. He had that great story behind him. He should have won the title, had a great babyface ending, but it didn't fucking happen. I can't believe they fucking didn't do that. I understand you can't have happy endings all the time, but that was a story. People were invested in Booker T's story. He had that story, and they fucking didn't put the belt on him. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It's fucking bullshit. So what did they talk about next? And then they talk about how in 2005 Booker T ended up marrying Sharmell, and he was gonna step away from the wrestling business because he wanted to focus on his wife. But whoever he was talking to came up with the idea that Sharmell be his valet. So that's what started the whole Sharmell, and he owes Sharmell 5 years of his wrestling career. When she talks about how she would always drive to the shows, and said that when she would announce people, and then he said even though that Booker T hadn't won the King of the Ring yet, he thought of Sharmell as his queen anyways. And then it talks about when he won King of the Ring and they became King Booker, and showed all that, saying that her being Queen Sharmell was the most fun time of her life. And talked about that, talked about how when she would introduce Booker T as King Booker, they would all the fans would just boo instantly. It was good stuff. And then they talk about Booker T getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. It doesn't go through any of his TNA one or anything like that. It just skips right from that to the Hall of Fame. Shamel was excited, but Booker T seemed calm, but then he got a big smile on his face. And this is where they had a big family reunion, and him and Stevie Ray finally made up. The Harlem Heat made up, and Stevie Ray was not expecting to get a good reaction, and he got such a good reaction that he almost forgot what he was supposed to say as his speech. And then it shows Booker T's Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And then Booker T talks about how him and his brother finally made up. It was something that he wanted to happen. That's what made the night even more special. And then, yeah. And then Shamel starts saying good things, that Booker T has a good character. He's hilarious. All this good stuff about him. And then it shows like this montage of his whole career. And then that was it. That the thing ended. The documentary ended. I didn't cover everything, but if you have the network, watch the documentary and you'll see for yourself. I'm not gonna go too much more into detail about it. That's just mainly the basic stuff. As for this network, as for this documentary, it's fucking amazing. There were things about Booker T that I didn't know. I knew he had been to prison, but I didn't know why he'd been to prison. And it was just really a good documentary. It really is awesome. I definitely suggest you watch it if you have the network. It's definitely worth $9.99. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I'm gonna go to bed now. That's mainly so, and then get up in the morning and make some sort of other video or something. I'm not really sure yet. But that's pretty much it, guys. If you want to see more videos from me, you can click right there to subscribe. And that's about it. So see you later, guys. Bye.